And now it is my privilege to introduce my really dear friend, Tracey Elofson. If you heard her at conference, you know what a blessing it is just to hear her words. She is she grew up here. I hope I got that right? She did grow up here, okay. I'm always going to get something wrong. She went to LSU. She got her master's in speech therapy. She has 4 beautiful daughters, and one thing that if you don't know her, you need to know about her is she's extremely creative. She's creative in the way she parents. She's creative in the way she does women's ministry. I mean, I wasn't friends with her very long until I felt very bad about my parenting skills when I found out when her girls turned 10 or whatever age, they had a butterfly party. She did a butterfly party because they were becoming something new, and so she'd do a butterfly party. Everything about women's ministry is very creative, and she makes it just so fun. She is so creative that often I have to say, Tracey, you're talking to me. Can you come down a little bit? Because I don't know what you're saying. So she has learned to speak my language. She is a woman of sensitivity and courage, and it's real rare to find someone who has both traits. And so I'm going to let you hear about how she has faced her latest challenge, which is a diagnosis of ALS, with true courage and sensitivity. Tracey?
Good evening. It's so great to be here with y'all. When we looked at these chapters, and Sherry said, is there one that speaks more than another to you? And I thought, there is. I mean, it was just like God highlighted it for us. I really want to say first, do not be fooled by a disability, by a disease, in terms of thinking that I've lost freedom. Because, friends, I have not. I have more freedom today than I have ever known. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about past. We've all got it. We're going to talk about the present. We all have that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about perspective. All of our challenges from the past are different. From mine, it started very early in loss. At the age of 7, my dad died suddenly of a brain aneurysm. The trauma of that forced me to make some plans, and so I found an old suitcase, and I packed it with my teddy bear and a couple of pair of underwear, and I looked at it and I thought, that's not enough. It's empty. But I felt like I needed it to be light, to leave at a moment's notice, because you see, I was afraid my mom would leave me too. So I kept that suitcase hid under the bed for a long time, just in case I needed it. Many years later, my mom died suddenly also of pneumonia. Hope was 18 months old. We had just started our family, and I really entered into a dark place. Then a year or so later, I lost my last living grandparent. My maternal grandmother died as well. And at this point, I was really beginning to feel a legacy of loss, and it was thickening. You know how the air feels thick with a weight? Then we go forward into a bigger family with 4 daughters and a really sweet, blessed marriage, and sweet, tender fellowship and service here. And right at the point in which I was beginning to tune into more of my identity, I started feeling bad. And health issues forced me to numerous doctors, and as Sherry mentioned, in October I was diagnosed with ALS, which you can imagine a battle enraged. I wanted to fight the disease, and there was a major battle in my head as well. I had such a hard time working through the concept of God's goodness, and that played out in my conversations. I would say things to God like, "This so is not my life." How does ALS fit into a plan to prosper and not harm me? I mean, it was really tough, and I must tell you, the battle wasn't pretty, and I bled anguish. And at that point, I had to make a decision. I could turn inward into the darkness of the disease and allow the loss to suck me in, or I could turn outward and try to discover more of God's perspective that was going to really help me grasp who He was. And then we come into the present and God's goodness, and I was still carrying a tremendous weight of loss, not only from my past, but from the disease. God has a way of showing up and showing us where the weight really is. It's not in the loss. And so He came through in ways. My daughters would come up after helping me all day and say, "Mom, before I go to bed, is there anything else I can do?" And some of them were teenagers. Seriously, there is hope. A friend one time filled my fridge. There are hugs from some of you that need no words. My husband recently said to me, he said, "Trey, I would so marry you all over again, knowing the future of what we have with this disease."